If you take a look at this image, it's likely that both characters said the same thing when translated. We are ready to claim the One Piece.
However, if you read the original manga, you can see that their understanding of what the One Piece is might differ slightly. Look. The kanji are different.
Anyone know the difference? I will explain everything in this video, and I'd like to discuss why Shanks chose to claim the One Piece and why he entrusted Luffy with a straw hat.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of Dawn Dusk.
On this channel, The Stellar, a Japanese theorist shares theories and analyzes about One Piece from the perspective of the original language. So, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, let's become Nakama beyond borders like the Straw Hat Fleet. If you have read the original, you may already know, but Shanks doesn't actually say claim the One Piece. The word he uses implies something different, which adds an interesting layer to the story. While the translated version has Shanks saying isn't it about time to go and claim it, the One Piece, Big Mom and Kaido simply say we're going to claim the One Piece.
But the difference lies in the kanji used for the verb claim.
It's because the kanji used by Big Mom and Kaido is typically used for something that no one owns, like crops or a prize that can be won. On the other hand, the kanji used by Shanks means to rob or to steal. This suggests that there are two possibilities: either Shanks is not worthy of possessing the One Piece, or the One Piece is currently possessed by someone else, such as Joy Boy.
And if Shanks has knowledge of the true history of the world, it's possible that he knows who should rightfully possess the One Piece.
In the latest One Piece chapter 1082, we were given a flashback of Shanks and Buggy, where Buggy asks Shanks if he was going to pursue the journey to find the One Piece.
However, something happens that makes Shanks change his mind and decide not to go to Laugh Tale at that time.
The reason he was crying and the reason he decided not to pursue the journey may be connected, and it's highly likely that he learned the truth about the world from his captain Roger, realizing that his family had an important role to play in that truth. It's possible that Shanks stopped pursuing the journey because he knew it didn't make sense until a certain point, similar to Roger's comment when he arrived at Laugh Tale. We were too early. However, Shanks is now finally heading towards Laugh Tale, and this could mean that the moment that Roger was waiting for has finally arrived. Shanks began moving after the three pirate captains of the new generation defeated Kaido. And he even defeated one of them with his own hands. Oops, I made a mistake.
With his own hand.
This could mean that he has been waiting for the resurrection of Nika, which has given him the chance to change the world. Just as Roger wanted, or the moment he was waiting for. So, the upcoming events in One Piece could reveal a lot about Shanks' true intentions and his role in the history of the world. If you read One Piece from the first, then you're probably familiar with the story of how Shanks gave Luffy his treasured straw hat and set him on the path to becoming the king of the pirates. But have you ever wondered why Shanks didn't eat the Gomu Gomu no Mi himself after finding it 13 years ago? There are a few theories about this, including one that suggests Shanks' family, the Fig Island clan, may have a history with Joy Boy's hostile clan.
I have a theory about this, but I'll need your help to bring it to life. If you're interested, give this post a like and let me know.
Once we reach 1000 likes, I'll make a video about the theory. Now, back to the topic at hand. I think Shanks likely didn't expect Luffy to eat Gomu Gomu no Mi.
It could be an event he didn't intend.
It's also possible that Shanks knew the true name of the fruit, the Hito Hito no Mi model, Nika, but didn't tell Luffy. Why?
I imagine Shanks didn't want Luffy to carry his destiny. He wanted Luffy to live freely.
However, Luffy really learned the meaning of risking his life to be a pirate from the loss of Shanks' left arm. Shanks asked a bandit, "Are you ready to risk your life?" Based on this experience, I think he asked Nami if she was willing to risk her life when he attempted to shoot the cannon at Luffy.
This lesson came from the loss of Shanks' left arm and his challenge to Luffy to become a great pirate.
By accepting this challenge, Luffy showed that he understood the risks and was willing to face them head-on. This belief is reinforced by Shanks' promise to return the hat to Luffy once he becomes a great pirate.
In fact, Shanks is waiting for Luffy to become the strongest pirate in the world before returning the hat. This is because he believes that Luffy has the power to change the world and upset the balance of power between the four emperors.
By keeping this promise, Shanks is giving Luffy the motivation he needs to become the king of the pirates and fulfill Joy Boy's wish to turn the world upside down.
But why did Shanks decide to give Luffy also his straw hat, and set him on the path to becoming the king of the pirates?
It's possible that Shanks saw something special in Luffy, something that made him believe Luffy could change the world.
We can guess it from his line that Shanks said to Rayleigh. There was a boy who used the same words as Captain Roger.
I believe that's why he chose to pass on Roger's will to a boy named Luffy. In the world of One Piece, there are three key concepts that stand out: the inherited will, the passage of time, and the dreams of people. In that case, perhaps this straw hat and Roger's will are deeply related to this inherited will. In my opinion, One Piece is a story where will is inherited through objects or rituals. What is the truth behind these words?
It doesn't mean that they won't die physically. Instead, they will continue to live as long as there is someone to inherit their will. What have the characters in One Piece done to not die and be unforgettable? The light of Chandra was lit.
Kalgara's will, which he wanted to pass down, is still alive and well.
The Shandians and the Nefertari family protect the poneglyphs for their ancestors.
The Kozuki family continued to be isolated.
The will of distant ancestors is alive not only as an individual but also as a nation, a race, and a family.
But how was Roger's will inherited?
The straw hat. The treasure, One Piece. It is certain that the straw hat that Shanks wore was inherited from Roger. Therefore, it can be considered that Luffy has already inherited Roger's will. But what was Roger's will? To turn the world upside down. This probably also means dawn, which Pedro said in Japanese, referring to the transition from the night world to the morning world. In other words, I think that's what Joy Boy wanted to accomplish.
However, Roger realized that it was too early to turn the world upside down.
Joy Boy, I wish I could have lived in your era.
This may refer to Luffy's era, not just Joy Boy 800 years ago. It can also be said that Roger inherited Joy Boy's will. He received One Piece from Joy Boy and entrusted it to the next generation. In conclusion, the story of Shanks, Luffy, and the Gomu Gomu no Mi fruit is just one piece of the larger puzzle that is One Piece. By delving deeper into the meaning behind Shanks' actions, we can gain a better understanding of the world order has created and the characters that inhabit it. So keep watching and keep exploring, because the journey to the One Piece is far from over.
When it comes to mentioning the inherited will, there is one more thing I must explain to you.
So what exactly is D's intention?
I would like to explain in another video.